Hey there, adventurous educators. In episode 3, I talked about developing a multi level fashion marketing program for those of you who want to move from teaching one prep of fashion marketing to multiple preps, or you just need to know how you can add more rigor to your fashion classes that exist already. So, this week, let's talk about how you can fill those seats in your program with the right students. Today, I'm sharing 8 effective ways to promote and recruit for your fashion marketing program. You're listening to Marketing Adventure, the hub for business, fashion, marketing, and other CTE educators who integrate marketing into the learning experience. I'm your host, Jackie Walker. Each week, I'll cover marketing education concepts, strategies, tips, trends, frameworks, and other information to equip you to connect your classroom to digital natives while cultivating an engaged learning environment. So come on into the room where your favorite beverage, snacks, and even your cell phone are all welcome. Let's get into talking about how do you fill your classes? How do you get these students into your program? Well, if you decide to develop, say, a magnet program or an academy or whatever it is that you develop for your campus, you could, and I don't know how your school is set up, I'll tell you that the way that our district was set up, we had magnet schools, we had innovation schools, we had P-Tech programs, dual credit, collegiate academies, all those different things in our district. But it initially started off with just having magnet programs. And so the fashion program for the school that I taught at was a part of a magnet school, career development center. And we actually interviewed students. So students couldn't just be placed in our courses or in our program. They had to go through an interview process because they're incoming freshmen. It would be during their 8th grade year, in the spring of their 8th grade year. And actually, it's gotten a little earlier. So they start applying in the fall of their 8th grade year. And then again, the interviews happen like in January, in February, or even later on in the spring semester if they're going to be a part of the second round or third round of students if they didn't get into their desired program the first time around. So it was an interview process. And with us, we're accepting students into the fashion program as a whole. And the students do take the design class and the marketing class their freshman year before it's determined if they're going to be on the design track for the next 3 years or the marketing track for the next 3 years. So they had to take both programs. So we had a portion of the process where they had to do some design elements things on our evaluation and assessment. And then a part of the assessment for the fashion marketing side was, an actual written assessment where they had to do something. And then we encouraged them to bring something to the interview that we can observe and give them points based on the item that they brought to the interview. And of course, we looked at the dress, when it came to the interview, were they dressed appropriately and things of that nature. And then we scored the oral interview. And we also had a portion of our interview be a peer interview. So we had some of our students who actually got them into small groups and talked with them and gave and scored them on their interactions with them during the process. So that's one way you can get students into your program. The other way is by maybe your school isn't ready to do and your district isn't set up for magnet programs where it can do the whole process of interviewing. Then you get with your counselors and your principal who's over the CTE programs or however it's set up at your school, and you let them know this is how my program is designed and these are the students I would like to feed into my program, based upon what their desires are. If you have a student who is truly interested in fashion or even marketing per se, and just really wanted to pursue their pathways, because there's different pathways in Texas that are set up where the students can really choose those their 8th grade year, and they're set up on that pathway in high school. And then I think they have 2 years and they can switch over to a different pathway. So you could choose to bring students into your program that way. And that would just require some recruiting. You let people know, you advertise to on the campus. Hey, this is what program we have. Come to our table, see what it's all about. You have your students to tell them what the program about, what they do, where they get to go for field trips, what do they create as projects, and how the classroom environment is. And so you really get your students involved in these. They are great recruiters and magnets for your program. So you do that. And then you also talk to the middle school counselors. You get them involved, you connect with them, and you say, hey, tell your students about this when they're looking at their choices for coming into high school. So you invite the counselors to the campus for a luncheon. That's what we did. We would have a luncheon for all the middle school counselors. They would come and we would give them little key rings or, pencils and different things from our programs and little foldable pamphlet from our program. We created social media sites where they can sign up to be connected to our social media. We would post things on our social media so they can see what's going on in our classrooms. We would have fashion events and we would invite the counselors, like especially for our fashion show, we would send out packets to the counselor media kit to our counselors and have a pass in there for the fashion show and a couple extra passes they can give to students based on whatever, maybe it was a student of the month or something like that. And then we would also add them to like any kind of communication we had so that the counselors would know about like what's happening in our programs. And then they could also see the district's CTE newsletter when we were advertising there for the different things that we were doing with our programs. We would have an open house. That's another way that you can get them involved or to see what your program is all about. So they have a chance to come into your classroom and you have your students there to demonstrate things. So for instance, like we would do the color analysis, we would do the body types, and then we would give them little instructional sheets that let them know for your body type, this is what you should wear, and the type of clothing, the shape of clothing, the length and all that kind of stuff. And then we would let them know what their color season was. And then we have a little printout that says, these are the colors that look good on you. So when you're shopping, be sure to think about these colors so that you can make sure that something that you wear is really popping off of you, right? And then so with the open house, they also got to tour our labs, which again, I said in an earlier video that is our store, also our closets, and then our visual merchandising area. They get to tour all of those things so that they can actually see what the whole program is comprised of. And then you can have your students have them sign up to receive communication. So when they came to any of our events or our programs, we definitely connect them to our social media. These are the students, actually. Counselors, we connected them to our communication. Students, we connect to our communication. Then also when they came to our open house, there was an opportunity to help them get enrolled or registered into our program. So all the registration is online. So we would direct them to the online enrollment. We would help them walk through how to get all their information input, and then we would give them the packet of information for when our interviews were going to be happening in the springtime, and they could be prepared to come to the interviews already. Okay. And then, like I said, social media was a thing that we worked on. Could have been a little bit more consistent about it, but yes, still was a part of our communication and letting people know about our program. Hey, adventurous educator. I just want to take a quick break to ask, is this your first time teaching fashion marketing, or do you need a boost in your curriculum? Well, look no further. I have the Ultimate Fashion Marketing Class Bundle. It's packed with 4 vibrant presentations, fun and engaging activities, quizzes, and 4 major projects for an immersive semester of fashion exploration. And it comes with a pacing guide for an 18-week semester. Additionally, each assignment has detailed student instructions and suggested pacing times so that you can tailor the time frame to fit your teaching schedule. For more information about this must-have bundle, go to marketingadventure.com and search Ultimate Fashion Marketing Class Bundle, or simply click the link in the show notes. Now back to the show. Now, to even extend the recruiting for your fashion marketing program, definitely consider after school activities. Now, these can consist of workshops that you have, like Dress for Success, or different things that let your students come up with the ideas of, hey, we can do these after school activities because they know what their peers are interested in. So let them come up with some after school activities that students who are not a part of your program can come and participate in. Also, think about doing a fashion club. And from the fashion club, those students can actually help with the fashion show and be in the fashion show. So definitely that's a consideration. That's a great recruiting tool. I can tell you, I can't tell you how many times students who participated in our fashion shows as models are like, Miss, how can I get into this program? I'm like, oh, well, you can apply. What grade level are you? They're like, oh, well, I'm a junior or they're a senior. I'm like, well, it's too late. You can't really join our program at that level. You really have to look at joining it in your freshman or your sophomore year. So you can get out there and do community service. Go to the middle schools, work with the students, and even the elementary schools. Like we had an elementary school across the street from our high school. A lot of times students would go over there and just volunteer to sit in the classroom with the students, talk about what they do in their programs and all of that. So it's an opportunity for you to start planting that seed really early in the minds of those elementary students. And definitely with the middle schools, go connect to those middle school students, go out over there and maybe do tying session with the boys or a dress for success with the girls. We did collaborate with a middle school one time when they were having a career program of some sort, and we did a fashion show for them, showing them how to dress professionally and stylishly. And so that was a lot of fun. And then also look at mentoring. What kind of mentoring program can you set up where maybe one of the high school students buddy with the middle school students doing whatever it may be. It could just be some type of friendship mentoring program, or maybe they're mentoring them on something that they're doing in the classroom. And then also we've had where students come and shadow. They come to your class. It was a campus thing that we did with our magnet program, is to allow the students from the middle schools to say, hey, I'd like to come and shadow your program for half a day just to see like what it is that you do. So they stay in your classroom and they don't travel to any of the other classrooms, but they stay in your classroom for half a day, usually like in the morning time until lunch. And they get to see like what the different classes do, because during that time we would have at least two classes change. They get to see what students do at the various levels depending on what class was you had at that time that they were shadowing. I usually try to bring a student in to shadow my freshman class and my sophomore class, because they can see what, oh, this is what I would initially be doing when I come to school here. And then they would learn about what happened at the junior and the senior level classes. So definitely shadowing is very key. So those are just some after school activities. Shadowing, of course, is during the day, but those are other ones that I mentioned: the workshops, the clubs, the mentoring, the community service. Those are some activities that you can do that will help engage those students and get them interested in your program. Now, we also started to do a lot of recruitment on campus towards the freshmen and the sophomores, because after sophomore year, it was kind of too late for the students to join our magnet programs, because the students before them that were already in the program already had like 2 solid years of some really advanced learning. And so we would market to freshmen primarily and sophomores so that they can get a start and get an idea. Because maybe, and this happened a lot, maybe the students chose to be in, let's say, the culinary arts program, and they decided, all that cooking and being in the kitchen is just not for me. Maybe fashion was their secondary item on their form when they filled out their magnet application. So then we would give them an opportunity to look, come and interview with us. And even after they got to see, this is what fashion does, they're doing a fashion show. Okay, I'd rather do a fashion show than to cook. I'd rather do a fashion show than be in photography, or I'd rather do something that's fashion oriented instead of whatever it was they chose to be a part of in the beginning. So they had an opportunity to switch magnet programs. And so we would definitely host recruitment opportunities throughout the campus a couple of times a year, especially in the fall. So the students would know that, hey, you have to go through the magnet application process just like the eighth graders did. So definitely don't miss out on inviting students who are your lower levels into the programs that you're considering. But if you're just now starting it up, you might want to bring in some juniors and seniors just so, hey, you can start filling the seats and give them an opportunity to take part of your fashion program. So those are just some ideas of how you can go about recruiting and having placement into your programs. And if you build that relationship with the counselors and your administration and you really express to them, this is what I'm trying to do, I want you to help them see your vision, then that will definitely help with them funneling students into your program, and not just any students, but students who truly want to go down the marketing or the fashion route as far as their career or their extension into college courses. All right, there you have it about recruiting and placement. I look forward to talking with you about more fashion marketing. I know that went pretty quickly, but I hope you were able to snag a few ideas to incorporate into your plan to start and or grow your fashion marketing program. Coming up in episode 6 on Feature Friday, you'll hear from a teacher who is using these tactics right now for her program. So be sure to come back to the hub for business, fashion, marketing, and CTE teachers. Thanks for listening to Marketing Adventure. Remember to subscribe, rate, review, and share this episode with someone you think would benefit from the information shared here today. If you have any questions or want to connect with me, find me on Instagram at Marketing Adventure. All links and resources discussed in this episode can be found in the show notes at marketingadventure.com.